Alas, Wednesday. Let's see if the interwebs keep up with the connection this week. Last week
Yeah,
was horrible for me. I don't know what's up.
yeah, we're struggling today. I'm struggling a little bit too. So hopefully we don't sound disrupted. But welcome to Shot of Digital Health Therapy Wednesday, season 2, episode something.
I don't know. Once we wrap up, press the stop button, and when I start putting it up, then. But I loved your tweet on the avatars
Right.
versus real.
The suggested yeah,
And
avatar versus real versus audio.
and of course, Vishal and Matthew have to be the critics.
Sure.
I don't know what's up with. I get it. Vishal is probably jealous for not being on the show yet.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all right.
Matthew, just he's a what is it? Digital health curmudgeon, right? Is that
Yeah,
his title?
it's his
But I
motif. His
but
motif.
I did get. I mean, while just going to spotlight some people that actually love seeing our faces. So Aline, she's in France right now. Elena from Bold Health in London, thank you. Lisa Sunan, I think she's a fan as always. Charles Wong from LA or wherever he's traveling.
Yeah,
Nana from Berlin, and they all want to see our faces, man. This is
yeah, yeah.
great.
No, we beat our avatars. We get to replace ourselves with robots soon. We can't.
So, it's funny because we'll actually see at the end of today. I started using this plugin. So last week with Shafi, we tried this Lumi AI or Lumi, yeah, the
Yeah,
avatar company.
yeah.
I'm actually using this macro.io, which sits on top of Zoom, and it's actually tracking how much who speaks. So we'll know who's the most vocal. And I can take like follow up items and action items baked in, and then I get an email at the end. It's fascinating.
The email of the
The,
total.
yeah, so not transcription. It just says like who spoke the most and ranking them, and then all the notes that I'm taking. Like you can do action items, questions, takeaways, general notes. So let's
Is it
see. I've been using my notepad before.
is it for like marriage counseling? Like
I mean, I'm sure Zoom is used for all kinds of sources. Speaking of just healing, all right. How are your push-ups going, man? I see your
I'm
every
knocking them
day.
out. I'm knocking them out, man. I think I'm day 11 today. I'm trickier than I thought. Trickier than I thought. Like just the sheer like stay in the discipline every single day. Like I would have been in your mind. You would have. But staying here to it. How are yours going?
I'm day 19. Honestly, it's been fascinating the fact that like I'm actually kind of knocking them out. I mean, I remember day one, I barely got through them. Honestly, like barely got through them. So I might somebody actually I think it was Steve Sanchez, right? I tagged him as well,
Yeah.
and he's been doing them, and he's like really working on a summer body. And I was kind of joking around after the 25 days are over, I'm going to start tagging all of you guys for 100 push-ups for 100 sit-ups for 100 days. So
Mm,
just kidding, just kidding. And then we get a real.
yes. Adhering to it. But like if we think about this whole, everything that's happening, how are you? How's your mood feeling? I know I do a check-in every week.
I
Last week I felt a little tight. Like how you feeling?
I mean, obviously we're all up and down throughout the day. We're human beings, and some days you're feeling blue. I do like, I think, this sense of routine, and Marina and I pretty much every day we actually do some kind of a workout. Like today, honestly, we walked together for like almost an hour, and then I walked for another 50 minutes, just doing stuff. Like it's not like unproductive; it's very productive time, but just like So I think
Yeah.
that level of it. I started writing my book again. I had a burst of energy, early on in the year, but and kind of decided to go somewhat public with it out there.
And you're 40 pages deep, or did you go further?
No, it's like I've been writing about half a page now and just thinking through the structure. I mean, my first time, right, I'm used to quick tweets and, little blogs or
Yeah.
whatever, but like, sitting down and structuring actual real thoughts strategically of what's to do. And actually, I'm going to try this. So there's like, believe it or not, we have more subscribers to my book than to our show on YouTube. I'm going to try to actually
Your
engage
face on the cover.
the followers in maybe like almost like writing it with me, right? Like if I pick a topic, like which way should I go? Kind of thing. I don't know. I'm going to figure out what's
Yeah.
it's unproduced right now.
Yeah. Nice. Save the theme. Okay.
So anyway, I know maybe how you feeling, man? I'm always like.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Yeah, no, we're like we've got Ireland. I feel fortunate to be here right now. It's kind of like life feels pretty normal versus following my friends and family online. We're kind of socializing with each other pretty distantly, so it feels good. Back at the office regularly. Um, business feels pretty good. So knock on wood. We're kind of everyone's waiting for the fall, but feeling good.
Awesome. Good. So, man,
Yep.
this is really like maybe you introduce our next guest. I've never met her at all, like not even from a distance and stuff. So I'm actually looking forward to how this is gonna play out and work out.
Yeah. No, I love the serendipity of this one. So we have Nicole Baker. I got that right. Who's the CEO and founder of a company called Biologit. She's based out of Ireland. I think she's not from Ireland originally, but I'll let her kind of go through her background. And she's doing something pretty exciting around artificial intelligence, helping pharmaceutical companies deal with adverse events. But she posted online in the post, and Ireland's a small scene, so she posted online. It kind of caught my attention, so I thought we'd get a total fresh guest that neither of us have met before.
Oh, I didn't realize. So you never met her either. Cool.
Little bit of interaction, emails and things like that. So
Yeah.
so this will be kind of truly unproduced. Let's see how we get on.
Love it. So I'm gonna admit her.
She'll tell me she met me before and I forgot.
Fantastic.
Hey, Nicole Baker.
I turned my camera on. I said I have a camera etiquette. If everybody has the camera off, my camera is off. If everybody has a camera on, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to turn it on.
You know this is gonna go on YouTube, right, Nicole?
Okay. Yeah, I've straightened my hair, and I was going to wear a bikini.
Right.
Listen, whatever works. I mean,
do you know the whole thing about the article that just published that medical healthcare professionals should not wear bikinis or take photographs on social media? So like,
no, but you've got me. Tell me about it.
I've seen it trending. So maybe you filled Jim in, but and then afterwards, we would love to hear your intro because this is a.
So what is it? So medics aren't allowed to wear bikinis.
So there was a publication, an actual publication, saying that women, especially women surgeon, young, nearly qualified surgeon, wearing bikini on social media, that wasn't a good sign.
And why?
Because then people could they say, okay, can I trust this doctor to operate on me, to do some, serious stuff if she's wearing bikini on the beach or having a drink with her friends? So they actually mined all the social media, quite a lot of girls, basically. And they managed to publish it, and the publisher then they had to say they were really sorry that they didn't mean any bad by it. It was reviewed and it was peer reviewed and it was approved and published. And now they say, oh, we retracted the article, but if you type in and you try to see the article is still there.
Yeah, that's awesome. But
and it's
send us the link afterwards.
It's Bikini. Medic Bikini or something like that. That's the hashtag.
It's a great way to start, Nicole.
Yep.
But the turtleneck is in honor of my entrepreneurial, but it's pink.
Right, got it. Okay, so before, because you'll get us on the rabbit hole in that conversation, we'll be we'll have trouble getting out. But but you're a citizen of the world, right? You're originally, give us your background, where you're from, the company a little bit.
So I was born in Brazil, and so I did my undergrad in between Brazil and Germany, and then I moved to the UK, to London, and I was in London for 5 years. And in Germany, I was on and off for 5 years as well. And I moved to Ireland in 2005, and I've been here ever since. But yeah.
How are you
Never going anywhere else.
I am going. I don't know where, but I am going somewhere.
Okay, and then quickly tell us about Biologit, what it does, what stage you're at.
So we are, at the moment, we are spinning to Trinity College Dublin, and we are one of the groups that is part of the ADAPT Centre. Okay. Which is a centre for technology for artificial intelligence in Ireland. And we are one of the groups, so we have about 5-6 people working with us. And what we do, we use artificial intelligence to help doing searches for adverse events for drugs in the literature. But it could be social media, it's looking in the real world in general, so social listening, pre-published articles, peer-reviewed articles, and so on.
Okay. And how are you feeling about how good they're going to be with the adverse events from all these new medications coming out?
Be good. We are quite good. Yeah. We're doing well. So the AI is doing well, not we. I'm not, like, but the AI, the model is doing quite well.
And I did some digging on you, because this is actually the first time. So usually we've had for the last, well, we're in kind of middle of season 2, whatever that means. But we've had generally people that both of us know, or at least one of us have spent, like, face-to-face time. So this is a little bit of an experiment for us. But I looked you up, and you're also an immunologist.
Yeah, I am.
So that becomes even more interesting. We're talking about real world. I don't like calling it evidence yet, just real world
it's data. Yeah. I agree with you. So before, it is data before it becomes evidence. I completely agree with you.
So marrying your immunology background plus pharmacovigilance plus AI, this is a hot space.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. It is interesting, yes. And we have, I don't know if I can say that yet, but we have been awarded an SFI grant to look at COVID-19 articles for the HSE. So we are going to use our skills and my immunology skills with the AI skills and pharmacovigilance skills to help find interesting articles and easier ways of searching for medical literature.
And because you were working in a space doing kind of consultancy initially, right? And then you came up with this. You set this company up on. That was a passion project, or you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or like what inspired you to take the jump and join the ADAPT Center? Or
I think I always wanted, so I was in academia for many years, for about 10 years, but there was always a problem with funding. You can only go so far, and you can only be poor for so long. And I had a family, and I needed to have a more stable kind of life and be able to support my family. So then
So you went into a startup? No.
No, I went into the industry. First, I went into the industry. I went into the industry. I worked for another 10 years. I saved some money. When I was thinking about, I was like, can I have a sabbatical? Or will I start a company now that I can and I don't need to worry about anything else? So then my passion for business and for kind of pharmacovigilance kind of screamed higher and said, just give up your job and go into business and see what happens. And that's what happened. And then I quit my job beginning of last year. And I haven't been busier, like my real job, my paid job. But so far things have gone well, and between consultancy and Biologit. Biologit doesn't pay yet, but it's a lot of fun developing a product, as you know. It's not all about money.
And
It's
you were in
about
pharma. You were in pharma before, right? Like we were.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, it's funny. I left because we have like all reverse stories of leaving pharma and doing startups or whatever. But like I remember, I had a very good job that I spent years trying to build myself up to the pharma ranks, and I decided to set up my first company in Ireland. And so I had moved here from Boston, and I went to my wife and I said, I'm done. I gave my resignation and I quit a very well-paid job that was also
Wait,
paying for.
so hold on, you didn't talk to Emmy before this?
Well,
Okay.
You told her afterwards.
But I finally I was pushed to something. So I said two things. So I said, I left, and she said to me, I'm pregnant. So my son is exactly the age of my first company, there. And then people said, well, why did you leave? And I was given the gift of a real asshole as a boss. So I had no choice. There was no choice. So I had to move on,
Well, what do they say? People don't leave necessarily companies, they leave their bosses, right? And the reverse is also true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to edit this out now, Eugene.
Too late, man.
And how old is your son?
Oh yeah, so he's 13. He's 13. That's my first company, Point of Care, and then obviously now I'm running Health Beacon, which I think you're familiar with.
Yeah. Did you have another child for the Health Beacon?
No, we haven't. That wasn't part of the deal. But anyway, so I appreciate it. And you find Ireland good for startups, ecosystem, digital health? How are you finding it? Tricky times.
Yes and no. I think we haven't got to the point where we are raising money now, so I can't answer your question yet. But I think it's a small place. Everybody knows everybody, and I think at right now, I think it's a good thing I'm a woman, I think, because there's this whole thing that tech and women, they don't really go together, and we need more of them working. And I think that because I come from pharma and I come from an external kind of real world, going back into academia to develop a startup, it's a different environment, and it's a fun environment to be, I think, because there's less pressure. Like they might think the opposite, that they have more pressure, but coming from the from pharma, it's actually less pressure where I am now, and less pressure.
So it sounds like you've been then building this for what, a little over a year and a half?
So I quit my job beginning of last year, and then I have a co-founder who is the AI head, and Bruno, he had a job and he didn't want to quit because he was like, I'm not going to quit my job for this. And then I said, you are? And I said, run some experiments for me and try a little bit harder and do more experiments and see if it works, and proof of concept, make sure it works. And then it worked, and we got the commercialization fund to go into Trinity, and then he couldn't say no. He had to say
Well, the technology that you guys built actually worked. And we always talk, and I'm sure Jim, same thing, right? Like when you actually have people using whatever you're building, right, it's just such a gratifying feeling. It's just such a gratifying feeling, that it's no longer just a sketch or an idea or a thought or a project plan. This is like people are actually on it, using it. Shit works, right?
Yes, and I actually followed Health Beacons from the beginning on LinkedIn and on the social media kind of thing. And when I posted a post on LinkedIn about it, that I had received mine, I was so happy. It was like I was receiving a new doll when I was 5 years old. I was so excited. I was like, look at this! I've got a box.
Wow! So is this how you guys met?
No,
Yeah,
I met him before in one of the startup days, or like, well, you know, when you're starting up, you go to so many meetings. He probably doesn't remember me. But
totally. I do.
Before you jumped in, that's what he was saying. He's like, I I think I might have met, but like I'm not sure. But so
I'm not as young as you, Nicole. I'm not as young. I'm not as young.
you know, in Ireland, Dublin is very small, and when you're starting up, you go to all these meetings,
Yeah,
and eventually you're going to meet the
right.
whole network of startups
Well,
in Ireland.
yeah,
And
was that through like the Health 2.0? Like what else? Who was running the Health 2.0? Liam?
yeah. I don't know. Like I know Mike. Actually, Mike Garrow, our
Oh,
buddy.
Mike.
Yeah, he's involved in organizing it. It's still going on, I think. You didn't go
Is
to
it?
L 2.0,
I
did you?
don't know. I'm too busy now to go to them. I don't. There's no more meetings anyway because of COVID-19. But I haven't been to. There's some
Yeah.
other meetings, but it gets to the
So
point where
what are you thinking about for markets? Because you obviously you must speak German and Portuguese, and you probably picked up Irish while you're here.
no, no.
You speak German?
Just English.
Yeah, you speak
But I
German.
speak Portuguese, yeah.
Okay. So you're not. Are you doing anything in Portuguese in terms of the artificial intelligence?
So we are doing South America, and we are planning to do all countries. So we're planning to do all languages and use machine translation. So we all into the machine. So machine translation to do all the translations into English, because the model can only read English. The model is not that clever yet.
Okay, got it. No trouble
That's
with me.
fair.
Yeah, but
So
we do get lots of publications in most of the publications are in English, but we are kind of looking to go into Russia, China, Japan, you know, many options there, because there's a lot of information everywhere. It's not only Europe and US and kind of English speaking countries where you can get information from.
I mean,
Yeah.
sounds like you're following COVID-19. Oh, damn it! You're not supposed to say these things. COVID-19 paths around the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of people working on it now, which is good.
Yeah.
But hopefully they will get somewhere, find either drugs that will work for it, or a vaccine. But I
Yeah.
think in the meantime we need to do a lot of research.
So without giving away the secrets, right? The startup secrets. Like I mean, I spent some years in pharma, just very few. I mean, I've been in health tech for many, but to me it was always kind of wild. I mean, there's obviously phone calls coming in from patients, right, and in thousands. Like, kind of where are you focusing with the company? Like, demystify it for me. I mean, we're just, you know, we're kind of talking at the bar sort of thing, right? Like pharmacovigilance, real
So
world data. Like, where does it?
pharmacovigilance, to be honest, we have no contact with patients, and that is sad, I think. And patients, they also want to have feedback from us to see what happens to what we do with their data. But the way it is right now is that you have a call center, or you have a medical information phone line where patients will ring or write an email, or you know, it's either phone or emails, and then they will say what they have to say if they had an adverse event, or if it's a product complaint, or if it's a medical information that they want to know more about the product. And it gets all filtered, and it's kind of answered according to the medication that they are taking. And then if it is an adverse event, then it gets filtered into pharmacovigilance, and it goes to the case processing team, and they will process the case. And depending on the volume, if you think about volumes, like pharmacovigilance department of a big pharma are in the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. So
For
then you
what?
have
Per
to
day or?
analyze, not per, it depends what drug it is, but it is high volume. And then you need to use analytics to be able to analyze the data that you have received to make sense of it. Then we call it signal detection. So that's where you're going to do the analysis. So individual cases, they don't get analyzed, they get processed and medically reviewed, but you cannot make an assumption based on one case. So
Right.
you will do a full analysis of all your data, And then you would look for trends and you look at analytics and what is happening, why it's happening. And then you have situations if there's a spike in cases, that there was something on the media, for example, I'm not going to use the word, but for that drug, that probably was
She's
a
good.
huge, there was probably a huge spike on adverse events because more people started taking it not in the correct way, or and then you get a spike, or if there's a lot of hype about a product, or people start taking it off label, for example, then you do get a larger volume of cases coming in.
Are you hearing anything in the community about our famous hydroxychloroquine?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even going to say that name.
Okay, I said it. I did it.
Yeah, it is serious, and
Yeah.
we should, drugs are there for a reason, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be taking things that are not prescribed and approved and tested for certain
What
conditions.
they say,
So
the difference between a poison in a potion, or a medicine and a poison, is dosing.
yeah, and all drugs are can be, can cause
That was a
harm.
quote.
So even as like paracetamol can cause harm.
Right.
Any
Yeah.
drug can cause harm.
It's a wild space. Are there lots of like digital health care startups that you've come across in the kind of pharmacovigilance space that are kind of very focused on it, or do you find yourself kind of unique in that area?
I think we are unique in terms of we are the only group that is actually doing pharmacovigilance for pharmacovigilance. They are publishers that are trying to get, they have a service to do literature search, but they're publishers. Their aim is to sell articles.
Yeah.
But we are very specific doing what we're doing. We are one of the companies that are
IBM Watson
they have tried but didn't go ahead. I don't know why. I'm still trying to find out what they couldn't do that didn't work. But I just found out today that Microsoft also have this. You have Google Scholar, but you have Microsoft Education or something like that, which is the same concept. And I only found out today.
I think it's the most important, not to make you feel good about it, but I think it's the most important space in terms of pharmaceutical companies being able to integrate with digital healthcare assets, is how they handle pharmacovigilance. Like, it's the most, from a regulatory perspective, and the fact that pharma companies, they either have to take on this burden, this idea, it's like feedback, is the product working? Is it working the way? And then they have all this regulatory burden that makes it so clumsy. And so it's really hard for them to engage with patients without, taking up costs or burden or risk to their brand. And, that's why they need all kind of companies like Eugene's company and my company, your company, because you need
and I think the integration is very important, because it's the community, and now with the portals, with a lot of health portals where the patients can have a one-to-one, a video call with their physicians or with the pharmacists and all of that. And I think there is a huge opportunity there to include reporting of adverse events into those portals, because I don't think they are. I don't know, the ones that I've seen, they weren't there. And it is an opportunity to have it all integrated. So you're talking to a doctor, he's prescribing a new drug.
Yeah.
You're taking the drug, you're having follow-up consultation with your doctor, and the doctor will ask, how are you feeling? And did you feel any, did it work? That's your opportunity to give the feedback straight away through the portal that you're using in a safe, because we have to think about GDPR, and patient is not only patient safety, but data safety or data privacy is another issue. But I think there is a lot of opportunities, a lot of channels that could be looked at. But I think the problem sometimes is litigation, that some companies are a little bit scared to kind of open too many doors and then end up in a because something bad, an adverse event is something expected most of the time.
Right.
But companies or the legal team don't see it that way, because it can lead to litigation.
Right. It's like taking a migraine medication and then saying you have a headache. it's kind of like, yeah, that's why you're,
I mean, if you think about it, and Jim, I liked your sort of comment earlier. I mean, with phase 3 trials usually is what, I don't know, 3,000 people, 4,000, 5,000, right? And then ultimately after phase 4, it just kind of goes out there. So if you think about it, think about software or hardware. And I know this, we're talking about our bodies, but like if you design something for 10 years, you test it with just a few thousand people, and then you release it, you're going to get feedback, right? And the world already has changed. Yes, our biology doesn't change that quickly, but so I think it's still fascinating to me. And
But it changes because you might get interaction with new drugs. So when you're testing a drug, you were looking at what kind of interactions that drug can have with but then you can have a new drug that comes to the market that will interact with the drug. And then you're talking about polypharmacy. So one person is not taking only one drug. One person could be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, and and then if they're not taking the right combination of drugs, they are agonistic, antagonistic, they are increasing the levels, decreasing. There's so much.
But Nicole, answer this for me. Like our biology must evolve. Like I feel like I'm watching, like, now at like my age, I go out and Eugene and I are doing this push-up challenge. We're doing a push-up challenge, and so I'm down there pounding out push-ups every day.
We're happy to tag you as well, by the way, Nicole.
and I'm staying the same. And then my 18-year-old son, who's kind of similar physique, he does like 25 push-ups and he's got all these beautiful muscles and he's like fantastic looking, like in 2 seconds, where I'm just like slightly less fat or something. Our biology must change, or I get time, right?
With age, it does. Yeah, it does change. Yeah, we do change. And there's a lot in terms of pharmacovigilance. If you go back, like talking about children and teenagers, and then we can go to mothers and pregnant women. There's so much that we don't know about. If you were pregnant and you don't know what drug you can take, because nobody wants to do clinical trials on pregnant mothers. Would they test something that they don't know? So children is the same thing, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. We still, when we think, we found everything, and we kind of evolving in terms of our own biology and the medical world, but there's still a lot that needs to be looked at, and we need to be smarter in the way we look at it. And there are lots of good drugs out there that could be repurposed as well. That's something that, drugs that nobody cares anymore because they're too cheap and they lost their patents and things like that. And they say, we don't care about that because we're not making any money. But there are a lot of very, very good drugs that could be repurposed if you do the right experiments.
Right. Like I remember we were testing like in one of the companies I work for, I won't name it, but we were testing for a new ED, erectile dysfunction drug, on the monkeys, and then we found that they were losing weight, and so then we found out we got a weight loss drug, and so, but they weren't getting very excited. So
they might have been getting excited about weight loss, but
yeah. Yeah, but they are, that's one way. Yeah, you can find out things that drugs do without looking for it.
Exactly.
It's so fascinating. But even like, we talk about kind of digital therapeutics, right? That as a therapy, right? Think of it as a digital drug for a second. Same thing, right? It has impact. Like, I don't know, if I'm using this app and I don't know, color red gets me excited, but somebody else, it's a downer, right? Like, how does that impact? How do you measure that in real world? So it's just all of this complex. Man.
Yeah, what about these ear pods you got in? Like the adverse events on these things must be enormous, right?
That's medical device. So that we're going into different legislation and regulation there for medical devices.
Yeah, true.
Which is another hot topic, to be honest, but it is a little bit different from medical with drugs. They're slightly different, but it is another very hot topic. But that's not medical unless you're using it for.
I guess we are dealing with human bodies, right? So we should be paying quite a lot of attention to what goes inside them and what do we do to the outside.
But that's interesting. So how do you, I know we're over time, right? But like, how do you feel about like when all these new medications that are coming, so take like, you know, like Proteus, you know, that you ingested something and you're taking it with a medication, and then you have probably similar adverse event, you know, group. But if you take things like this new video game, was it Achille, Eugene?
Achille, yeah.
Yeah. You know, so you have this, that, you know, that's used for attention deficit disorder, or I think in children. And then do they, as they get approved, and they probably get approved more as a medical device, right? So that's their approval basis. But, you know, and then you look at music, like what's the area, like if you look at something that's, say, maybe taken in combination with a medicine, like, so, you know, if you're doing the game for attention deficit disorder and you're also taking, you know, Ritalin or, you know, something, a serotonin blocker or something, you know, like, you know, where's the adverse, like that's a real whole area that's probably not well thought through.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't thought about it. How do you compare, for example, traditional therapies with non-traditional, let's say non-medicinal therapies, like as I said, music or video game? And it is an interesting point, and I think you're onto something there. Like
he just gave you another revenue stream potentially. So, you know, exactly. Go to like Spotify's of the world, right? But Jim, wow, this was amazing. Did you just call, like, you were the timekeeper? I was just fascinated with this discussion. So I'm usually the timekeeper, Nicole.
Yeah,
but we are
like an old married couple here.
Time. Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts of wisdom, Nicole? Like what did you learn? What was like the biggest lesson learned coming into like startup world? Just curious.
It's to make connections and talk to people and learn, because you learn a lot and you start listening, and that's something that I didn't do very much before, because I was in a position where I was the one doing most of the talking and lecturing and things like that. So it didn't occur to me that I had to listen to people. But I think in the startup world, you meet a lot of people, and you have to learn to listen to people and to take in things and connect. It's very important to connect and take. And if somebody offers you help and say, can I introduce you to so and so, and you say, yes, please do. And that's something that I wouldn't do before. And now somebody said, I'm going to introduce you to so and so, I was like, yeah, like please.
I still love my serendipity calls, but hey, listen, I think this experiment worked, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's great. I'm still trying to figure out your accent, right? It's like, I don't really know where it's from. Like, I know you described your background, but it's like such a great mix of all.
Portuguese.
Yeah, it's Portuguese. Yeah, but Portuguese from Brazil is different from Portuguese from Portugal. So, but I lived in. I think people say I have a bit of a German accent with Irish now, and kind of I don't know.
I have a bit of a
fascinating.
kind of
German.
So on that note, let's call this week a wrap. It was wonderful to get to know you, Nicole. And for the viewers and listeners, you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, or the follow on Spotify, Apple, and whatever else you're using.
What are we
and
at?
Get so on YouTube, we went up like a few from last week, so 95, maybe 94. We're almost at 100
I'm one of them.
subscribers.
I've clicked the button.
Now that we're going to put yours out, you're going to tell all your friends to go subscribe, right?
I will.
We just need excellent. Five more, and then we get to 100. I know what that means.
I know, that's a whole ball. Then we go exponential to 1,000, and that's when we're in Joe Rogan's territory.
Exactly.
All right. Have a good rest of the week, people.
Thank you. Thanks very much.